understood, and he still is, that the argument with Anwar was not about economics. It was not about the economic crisis.
He was actually campaigning against me, but that didn't matter to me because I was going to step down in 1998, so he would take over anyway. But then the police reported to me about his misbehavior, and I thought that this is not a suitable candidate for the prime ministership. So I had to prevent him from continuing as the deputy prime minister, who would eventually succeed me.
Anwar was dismissed for sodomy, a trumped-up charge according to Amnesty International.
I actually interviewed the people who were involved, the girls and the driver, and they told me that actually it happened.
Dr. Mahathir believes he is right, whatever the circumstances and regardless of the evidence. Anwar's dismissal and persecution permanently stained Dr. Mahathir's reputation. Although he subsequently won the 1999 election, it showed that large numbers of Malays were permanently alienated and would never vote for UMNO as long as it was led by Dr. Mahathir.
3 years later, in 2002, Mahathir makes a shocking announcement, one that would forever change his career.
No, I have decided.
Under Prime Minister Mahathir's watch, the skyline of Malaysia's capital city changed dramatically. A towering icon was appearing in Kuala Lumpur.
We could see the Twin Towers going up. You know, actually the growth of the Twin Towers. One tower going up there and competing. You could see it from our breakfast table.
Petronas Twin Towers was really a dream project because he had this idea to build a landmark building that would bring a lot of attention to Malaysia, and it had to look wonderful.
I participated in making the decision that it should go to Caesar Pally, who proposed this Twin Tower with a bridge in between, except that I jokingly told this Azizan, the Petronas chairman, that why are you stopping at that level? Why not make it taller than the highest building in the world?
In 1996, the 88-story Petronas Towers surpassed the Sears Tower in Chicago. They were now the world's tallest buildings.
The design I took part of, so in putting in what I call the Islamic architectural base. The base should be 8 pointed, but Caesar Pally added kind of curve between each triangular piece. He puts a little bit more so as to increase the space.
I can tell you, he goes there almost every Sunday. He's like a chief mando, you know. Chief mando is like a chief supervisor, unofficial. He loves to see this building going up. And best thing is that he wants to know how they work.
A few years later, on September 11th, 2001, another Twin Towers dominated the headlines. Terrorists flew 2 commercial airliners into the World Trade Center in downtown New York.
After 9/11, Dr. Mahathir and President George W. Bush, who were natural antagonists, decided they needed each other. Bush was looking for worldwide moderate Muslim leaders, and Dr. Mahathir, at the height of his unpopularity over Anwar's dismissal, had decided to mend fences with Washington.
But it didn't last. In March 2003, America invaded Iraq.
The idea is that you can conquer a country by shock and awe and all that. is a primitive, outdated idea. Today, I think war is no longer an option in the solution of conflicts between nations. There was no evidence that Iraq had weapons of mass destruction. So why should he attack Iraq? Yet that Saddam may be a dictator, that is Iraqi's business, not Bush business. You can't go around changing the governments of other countries to suit yourself. The people have to do that by themselves.
In June of 2002, just 1 month before Mahathir's 77th birthday, he delivered his most shocking political speech on national television.
Mengumumkan satu, peletakan jawatan saya sebagai Presiden UMNO dan semua jawatan-jawatan yang dipegang oleh saya dalam parti. Peletakan saya sebagai pengurusi Barisan Nasional dan semua jawatan dalam Barisan Nasional.
A friend called me on my mobile phone and said, "Are you listening to this? Your dad just announced he is resigning." And I was really shocked, you know. And the first thing I thought of is like, why is he ill, you know? And I remember my knees were really trembling. I was so scared.
I was stunned, frankly. I knew that he wanted to resign, but not at that particular moment.
I think most political leaders was of the view that this was a stage, another stage-managed job. But I was of the view that probably he was quite genuine.
And it's one of the best decisions he ever made.
Mahathir is the sort of person who makes quick decisions.
No. No, I have decided.
That is what he did. But he certainly upset all his friends.
For years, I joined the speculation about when Dr. Mahathir might retire before concluding that he would die with his boots on, as the saying goes.
I never told anybody about my intention because I always feared that if you undertake to do something and then something gets in the way and you don't do it, people will laugh at you. You know, people will say, you talk only, you don't do things.
He didn't want to be there forever. He wanted time for his own life and to enjoy it like anyone else.
I had planned to resign before I'm kicked out. I have always followed my mother's advice, not to overstay your welcome.
Then it turned out he wasn't really quitting immediately after all. And I thought, typical Mahathir, trying to keep everyone off balance and guessing.
One of Mahathir's last engagements was to chair the Organisation of Islamic Conference Summit in Putrajaya.
For well over half a century, we have fought over Palestine. What have we achieved? Nothing. We are worse off than before. If we had paused to think, then we could have devised a plan, a strategy that can win us final victory. Pausing and thinking calmly is not a waste of time. We are actually very strong. 1.3 billion people cannot be simply wiped out. The Europeans killed 6 million Jews out of 12 million. But today the Jews rule this world by proxy. They get others to fight and die for them.
Dr. Mahathir delivered a typical, if more acerbic than usual, speech. The idea was to grab the attention and sympathy of his audience before delivering a very unpalatable, otherwise critique of the Muslim world.
Instead, it turned into a diplomatic row.
I think the president thinks those remarks were reprehensible.
Look, I think everybody knows Dr. Mahathir is retiring in a couple of weeks' time. And he is a man who, in his recent years as Prime Minister, has made an art form of outrageous statements.
The Malaysian leader wants to roll